myself with the staff chair. So anyways, good to see you all.
Thank you, Jerry.
Stop talking now.
Welcome to the July 18th meeting of the Rotary Club of Jamestown. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, singing of our national anthem, and repeating the four-way test.
Wow. Yeah. Oh boy.
Let's repeat the four-way test. Are the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned?
I'll sit
Will it
here.
build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Be beneficial to all concerned.
Our invocation today is given by Amy Roller.
Now, I don't know about you, but I'm very grateful for the rain. So this prayer today is called Rainy Day Prayer, and I did not write it, but it's very apropos. So let us pray. Thank you, God, for rain, for the feel of raindrops on our skin, the way we taste rain in the air, for the sound of water hitting the thirsty ground, for its transformative greening power, for the smell of wet earth. We give you thanks for the grace of water falling from the sky. We confess that we are parched for your presence, that we go through dry times where grief stretches us out, exposing all we are to your gaze. There are times when we lose all patience, even with those we love. The well of love runs dry, even for those nearest and dearest. There are times when fear parches our throat, and we can't even find the words to pray. Thank you that we find you even in the desert. Thank you for the way your love seeps into our lives, for the way it envelops us like a fine mist, for the way it soaks us like a deluge, just when we need it most. We pray for all of the people in this place and at this lunch who are going through dry times, dry spiritual times, and places of physical pain where we are thirsty for relief. Sustain them and comfort them in a time of trial. And thank you for this, our Rotary Club, and the way that you water the garden of our lives and activities so that we can bear fruit for this community and even this world. Amen.
Thank you, Amy. Please welcome President-elect Ruth Lundeen to announce our visiting Rotarians and guests.
Thank you very much, John. So they're back hiding in the back is Hadley Weinberg. Good to see you, Hadley.
Announcements. Our Rotary Yours recorder today is Chris Anderson. As always, our many thanks to you and the Communications Committee for all you do to keep our club informed. July 23rd is Christmas in July. There's several volunteer opportunities out there to set up and work a Rotary booth. Contact Max Miller for volunteering. Thanks for your efforts there, Max.
That's the guy that wouldn't let us through.
27th Annual Rotary Charity Golf Classic is Monday, August 29th. Shotgun start at 11:30. Always looking for sponsors, 1,500, 250, and 100. Cost 150 for an
Something
individual
smells
player.
wonderful.
Contact
I'm
Mike.
sorry. I'm sorry. Oh,
Please get your tickets ready as we welcome Kathy Birch for today's 50-50. Out there. Mike Roberts, are you ready to do fines while we wait for the 50-50?
no,
Thank you, John.
not as, I was trying to get Greg to go this way, but he wasn't gonna
Now, some of our
have
notes
any part
here
of it.
tell you that the
No,
club
no, you don't want to go in
Backing
there. You don't want to go in there. You
in
don't,
press. Hang on just a second.
yeah.
Sue, can you please mute your
My,
phone? Or
my notes might be in front of me.
Sue Jones, thank you.
They might be in my golf bag. Well, we're just going to wing it. Bring back memories, Diana? So, Mayor Eddie, you were pictured in the paper this week. Nope, no fine. Because you were announcing the Scandinavian Heritage Week. So I think anybody of Scandinavian heritage should be glad to come up and put money in the pot. Down the tube. She's working on it, apparently. And I'm glad Steve has to contribute because he was pictured in the paper, but it was Rotary news, so we don't fine for that. But congratulations on your Paul Harris. Also pictured in the paper, also Rotary news, past president and current president were pictured switching over the gavel. And of course, our own Ruth was in the paper, also Rotary. You Service Above Self Award, right? And of course, Lisa Goodell received the Rotarian of the Year, not a fine. So I guess I do need my notes because there was a quiz. Okay, we're gonna do 50-50.
We'll do 50-50 while Mike's looking for his notes. So I did not. No, these are Mike's. Yeah. $43 is the winner. 6785. Hey, Pat, congratulations.
I saw a lot of honor roll and merit rolls. We're going to do, is it fair to all concerned? If you have a child or you have, is that Tori Peterson that just walked in the room? Did we just fine for Scandinavian heritage? So if you have a granddaughter or a grandson on the honor roll or the merit roll, I think you better come up and be proud and pay the pot. Oh, and I also missed, and I don't see Kristen, so a new member induction was also in the paper. Kirk Young is not here. His son received Kirk, you're online. I saw the Facebook video. Congratulations to your son and on his scholarship. So since you guys aren't busy enough, it's quiz time. So let's see who would know the answer to this. And I'm going to put Kevin in with Russ's table And I want you to tell me, since we're so proud to say the four-way test, who wrote it? Can you tell me what year he wrote it? Can you tell me what year it was copyrighted by Rotary? Okay, kick in a buck. It was Herbert Taylor. He wrote it for the Club Aluminum Products Company. He wrote it in 1932. We adopted it in the 40s, but we copyrighted it in 1954. Randy Sweeney, your table. This is so easy, so easy. What year did Paul Harris create Rotary? Boy, all these past presidents, and none of them have done the Rotary history. Congratulations, 1905. Well done. I have a happy buck. Communications Committee. Awesome job. We had 5 or 6 articles in the paper. Thank you for your hard work. We'll take happy buck.
I have a happy buck. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Sherry.
Okay, I'm going to give $10 for past missed meetings, and also because I'm excited to have my daughter and granddaughters visiting for about 3 weeks from England.
Wonderful.
We all know what a wonderfully philanthropic group Rotarians are. And Saturday night, RTPI hosted their summer soiree, and there were enough Rotarians there. I believe we deserve a makeup. So if you were there, raise your hand. We were there. Thank you.
Very good. So, and it was a delicious dinner. Thank you, Vicki. So I received an email, and this is from Samantha Cashmore, who is a special education teacher at the Erie 2 BOCES Hughes Center. And she said, I just wanted to thank you for providing me with the tickets to the Tarpskunks baseball game on July 9th. My students, along with their families, were grateful for such an opportunity. Please pass along my gratitude to the Rotary Club for hosting such a generous and thoughtful event for our community.
Last week, my Florida grandkids, ages 6 and 4, came to visit for a few days, and we did make a tarp skunk game. We did make it to RTPI. While I'm in the lobby at RTPI, I'm sorry, I went to the Audubon. While we're in the Audubon, Ruth calls me on the phone about something else. So it's a strange things happen. Then we made a trip to Midway Park. I hadn't been to Midway Park in a while, but I think some of those rides are the same ones I rode on.
I have 5 happy bucks for this Saturday. As I'm sure you've heard me say it many times, we have the Christmas in July event. It's going on all day. Our part will be from 8 to 10 o'clock down on the River Rock behind the Comedy Center. I'll be there. PM. Correct, PM. After the National Lampoon's movie is played out front. So, and like I said, festivities all day. Bring your kids, bring your grandkids. Have a grand old time.
I've got 2 happy bucks. The first happy buck is for my daughter Emma, who was actually the female recipient of the scholarship that McKay got. So congrats, Emma. And then the second one is for, if you have not seen it yet, I totally implore you to go see it. Go see Top Gun. It's one of the greatest movies ever made.
All right, I have a happy buck for Gene West. Gene West at our recognition dinner. I was talking to him prior to the formal part of the dinner, and he informed me that he wanted to be on the literacy committee. So literacy has another member.
I am going to give you guys $10 of happy stuff, a collection. I am a grandfather as of Friday, first one. Leah had Julian Joseph Bloom on Friday, 10 days early. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Everybody is doing awesome and a super quick delivery. So all good. That's 1. 2, our son is engaged, getting married next August at the Sapphire Creek Winery in Cleveland area. Small wedding. I apologize, you guys won't be invited. 3rd, you guys may have heard, but our house is under sale. So we're finally getting rid of 4,500 square feet on a whole lot of land come after Labor Day. So if anybody knows of a nice, small, efficient condo, let me know. Josh Allen did not buy it. Didn't look.
I have a happy buck because not only we have almost conquered polio, but at least one of our members has conquered an even greater evil, bureaucracy. I think you can tell what I'm going to talk about. I'm very forgetful, but I usually do pay my bills. For the last 25 years, I've paid my water bill. But due to a bureaucratic mess up of some sort, somebody kindly turned off our water just before the 4th of July weekend. So thank you to Mayor Eddy for helping us struggle through the bureaucracy to fix that one. I'm glad you're here today.
This happy buck is for our new member, Rudy. I got to tell you a Rotary story. I met Rudy. I met him in 1995. If you remember, our Rotary Club every spring would host the exchange weekend, the students going out, the students coming in, try to put them together with the matching student. We were hosting, Judy and I hosted Druhan Baglasiogiu. Nobody called him his last name, but everybody just called him Drew, from Turkey. So he was with us for 94, 95. So in the spring, Rudy was at our house so that they could get to know each other. And so that was a wonderful experience. But let me bring you up to date on Drew. After the weekend before Drew was going back home in 1995, we had taken our son up to Buffalo. He was going to go to a summer camp at the Gal School. And through that process, Drew learned that the Gal School had counselors that they had from all over the world. So he said, well, can I participate in that? So within a week, he canceled his trip back home, stayed for the summer at the Gal School, came back 4 years as he was going to university, to the Gal School. And when he graduated from university, he came back to the States and was employed by the Gal School for a number of years. When the headmaster at the Gal School went to a school, a private boys' school in Washington, D.C., he recruited Drew. So Drew now lives in Washington, D.C. with his wife and his 2 children. I think the oldest now is about 12 years old. But I mean, isn't that amazing, the connections and what Rotary does? And the best thing about that is it was the week that Drew was coming in to the States, Mark Olson was begging for somebody to take him because at that point there wasn't anybody. So it was a last minute decision that Judy and I made, and it was one of the best decisions that we ever made. So I mean, I can never say enough about the Road Exchange program. I mean, even if you think you can't do it, you can do it. And it's incredible what happens when you do that. So wonderful experience.
Thank you very much. I want to thank I had a moment of pride that just could never be, well, I shouldn't say could never be copied again, but it's hard to be highlighted. And that was the night at the stadium when Rotary was there. And the Rotary Rotarians and their family and their friends stepped forward from all of the Rotarian clubs. And we said there were 3 of them, but how many million Rotary clubs are there in the world? They all stepped forward at that night. So it was important and exciting about what happened on that field down there with all of those young men playing the game of baseball and all the fans enjoying it. But I've been lucky enough to have gray hair long enough to be part of the crowd way back when it almost all started down at that stadium. And the same thing was those young ball players coming in from all over the country to play baseball for the Falcons or for the Expos or for the Jammers or for the Skunks, whoever it might be. And it was wonderful to happen here. But the exciting thing was not the results of the games, the important thing. It was exciting, but not important. The result of the games was not important. The result of winning the championship was not important. And it was not what the beneficial part of it was for us. Because I can remember many of the players that came into Jamestown to play in those leagues, as these young men have to come in to play with the Skunks, when their baseball ladder career, where they could not reach another higher rung, they went back into humanity. And many, more than a dozen of those players that played in Jamestown from all over the country come back to Jamestown, New York, because of their experience at playing at that stadium and playing baseball for the fans of Jamestown and for the businesses that help support the program and for the organizations that help support the program that they could play baseball in. It made Jamestown a brighter light than what they ever saw in climbing the ladder of baseball, and they come back to our town. And I'm confident that the members that were playing in that game down there, not only for the Jamestown team, but for the visiting team, many of them will have a bright light shining in their mind forever because of the Rotary Club and the night that they sponsored baseball in Jamestown. And I was walking over the sidewalk as I was coming in here, and I found a dirty old $20 bill, and it doesn't belong to me, so it goes in there. Thank you.
Thanks, Russ. I give $1 for Jim's comments about youth exchange as a past president and a couple times as the chairperson. Don't hesitate. If you have any inclination, it's a great experience. We have a long time relationship with a young lady, and not so young anymore, in Australia. And it's just, again, a great experience. So don't hesitate, give it a shot, and can almost guarantee it'll be a good experience. And the second one is, as the proud president of the class of JHS class of 1977, we just had our 9th reunion, 45th reunion weekend before last. It was a great turnout and a great time. So I encourage you to go to your reunions as well. Thank you.
Good to see and hear so many good things happening in the club and what Rotary does for people. So we will now be moving into our club assembly. Secretary Goodell, please confirm quorum. Quorum is confirmed. Thank you, everybody. Just trying to share my screen. Hopefully you guys can see it. So we just want to have a club assembly. Haven't had one in a while. We're going to update, give you guys an update on some of the bylaws, some of the revision changes that we've made, and also just give a quick overview of our committees, a little bit of what we did last year and going forward, and some club goals for the following year. So there's our agenda, budget updates, committee reports, 2022-23 goals, and then the proposed club governance documents. But first, I just want to say thank you to all the Rotarians. You know, we do a lot in the community, probably more than we realize what we do and how we affect people's lives. Here's just some of the pictures from the past year, cleaning up neighborhoods, Pakistan, Karachi Clinic, Red Kettle. You know, we are out there doing a lot. So thank you everybody for your commitment to the club and for your efforts in the community. And now I'll ask Joni to come forward and talk a little bit about our budget.
Okay, so we finished the year 2022, which would have been what? June 30th, 2022,
with an income of revenue of 40,183.94 and expenses of 46,840.43 with a note on that $6,600 deficit. It was just because membership to RI, Rotary International, was paid before the July 1st date of the start of that budget. So it's not that we were in the hole, we were not. It was just paid before that date. Because if you look at the previous year, 2021, we had revenue about 14,006 for membership. And if you look at this year's approved budget, we have 14,240. So we're always in that $14,000 range, unless you go out and recruit every friend you know, and then it's going to be really big. But so we're in the right range. So this is the approved budget for 2023. It's about $10,000 higher than last year's actual. And that's only because we're hoping more people come for lunch. So if that is based on 40 people coming to lunch for 40 meetings, okay? So it all is relative. If 32 people come for 32 meetings, then that's all we pay for. So it is what it is. Other than that, there really aren't too many changes other than they moved some of the miscellaneous expenses into the categories they belong in. So we have the board approved a $50,530 budget. Do you have any questions or need to come up and look at it closer? No? Yes? Say what, Mike? Yeah, I sent them out a few weeks ago. Do you want me to send it out again? Yep, I will do that. All right, Mark. Mark moves to accept the budget.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we'll do some committee reports, run down through the list. So Joni has stepped up to be our foundation committee chairman going forward, taking over for Greg and Sue Jones, who've been running that for a long time.
So last year there were 7 Paul Harris Fellows given out or recognized, 2 of which were transfers. That was Stephen Pett Sandberg, Anna and Bob Wolgamuth, which hasn't happened yet. Let's see, and then there are 4 that are still to be awarded, so I have to keep them secret. So that is all in Greg's year. And $5,000 this past Rotary year was sent to Rotary International. And the the foundation committee needs members because it's me and Sue and Greg Jones, who are disappearing for 6 months, I found out at the end of October. So if I come and tap you on the shoulder, please think about saying yes. It's a very low amount of work.
Thank you, Joni. So camp, Randy Sweeney is staying on, and he's pretty much got everything wrapped up as far as camp for the Resource Center. It's a great event every year. They look forward to it. We sponsor it through the Wendy Sharp Fund. The camp this year is August 14th through 17th with the bonfire Sunday, August 14th at 6:30. So hopefully we get some Rotarians there to support that. Club service, Sharon Hamilton's the chair. I'm sure you always see her when you're coming in, getting people to sign up. So she's going to continue that on to the next year. Same with the invocation committee. I think Becky Robbins has a pretty good layout for the year going forward if people already signed up. Communication, I got an update from Sue Jones that I'll read. You guys just pretend I'm Sue up here reading it. She'd do a better job, but I'll do my best. So the communications committee of 5, Sue Jones, Chris Anderson, Ruth Lundeen, Eric Harvey, and Lynn Gruhl covered every single regular meeting of the Rotary Club of Jamestown. Chris took suitable information from each week's newsletter and posted on social media venues. Sue would write a news release for the week, attach it to the photo, and forward that information to the Post Journal and the Jamestown Gazette. In this manner, our club's news was featured almost weekly in the local newspapers. We tallied 36 news releases regarding routine Rotary Clubs at Jamestown meetings in each paper and at least 10 other major releases and stories in both papers regarding special Rotary days, projects, or events. We also participated in radio interviews on WRFA and WJTN. During special social functions, photos were taken and composed into a shortened Rotarily Yours to be sent to those who missed the special function. Each of the 5 committee members took responsibility for 1 week each month and substituted for each other when emergency situations arose. About 10 to 15 years ago, there were at least 12 to 15 committee members, and each member was responsible for an entire month of newsletters. There were no photos, no Zoom, very few news releases. No new members were announced, no Paul Harris's. The only news release were for special celebrations, projects, and fundraisers. Today, we have many releases, 8 just for the annual recognition meeting acknowledging member achievements, World Polio, Pedal for Polio, Hands-on Neighborhood, Highway Cleanup, Golf Tournament, and such events as the Tarp Skunks at Rotary at the ballpark. In addition, our very talented Chris Anderson has been designing our attractive posters, tickets, etc., to use for fundraisers such as the Jamestown entry sign, the Tarp Skunks event, etc. The Communications Committee desperately needs more help. We have been suffering from burnout. Yes, the committee could do less. However, that will change how we appear and interact with the public. We need to reach and whose support we need for everything we undertake. This coming year, the weekly Monday meeting scribes will simply submit a brief Word document to Chris by Thursday, following a template we are designing, including basic information about the meeting and a photograph of the speaker and any other pertinent subjects announcements made at the meeting. Chris will only act as a scribe in an emergency. Again, hopefully only once per month, but if we have more members, that could be less often. Chris will then attach the Zoom presentation to it and will forward to the Rotarily Yours to each member. The person introducing the speaker will be responsible for giving the introductory information to the scribe to be used in their report. So far, as Sue wrote this, the news releases, and Becky Robbins has offered to help with some special events, but they need more help. We need more help or we'll have to do less. So far, this year's committee members are Sue Jones, Chris Anderson, Dewey Jones, Rudy Andalora, Eric Harvey, Joel Kiefer, and Kristen Melville hopes to join our ranks in January. I have asked others to consider joining, but so far no replies. So that's a nice report from Sue, and the Communications Committee does a tremendous amount of work to keep us out in front of the community, letting them know what we do. So please, if you guys, it's a good way to engage in the club through communication. So keep up the good work there and hopefully get some reinforcements. DEI and vision. Ruth, if you could just give a quick recap of your efforts with these two.
Thank you, John. So in the order you asked me. So the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee was formed in August of this past year in response to local and national events and the Rotary International call for all Rotary organizations to address diversity, equity, and inclusion in issues in their clubs and communities. As it says on the Rotary International website, a top priority for Rotary is growing and diversifying our membership to make sure we reflect the communities we serve. We know that our capacity to increase our impact and expand our reach is larger when more people unite with us, which is why we value diversity, equity, and inclusion. So our local committee said this, set out the following goals to help Rotarians understand the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion, to develop a strategy for raising awareness as individuals and as a club, and to work to expand the diversity in the club to reflect our community. I was very pleased to serve with Chris Anderson, Marion Beckering, Joni Blackman, Noah Goodling, Sharon Hamilton, Tori Eargang, Sally Martinez, and Melissa Myers. So the first project we undertook was the history of Rotary, which highlighted the origin based on the concept of diversity of professions, continuing with the expansion internationally to be inclusive, and finally in 1989, admitting women. This was presented to the membership in January of this year. The committee has also completed the racial equity self-assessment survey and taken some pointers from that on things to move forward on. And also reviewed the Rotary International DEI Code of Conduct and revised it for our club, which we will be talking about later. And finally, the members of the committee are also members of the Chautauqua County Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility Coalition, the IDEA Coalition, and the New Neighbors Coalition for Welcoming Refugees. So appreciate how active the committee has been. In 2022-23, we will be working on welcoming newcomers to the Jamestown community, strengthening the fellowship among the members, and new member recruiting and mentoring to increase our interaction in the community. So thanks once again to the committee members who have been so active. The Vision Committee, the function of the Vision Committee is to look at the community and hear from our members how we would like to spend the money that we raise in Rotary. So the Vision Committee looks at projects that are championed by the membership. This is a call out to you to think about if there's something that you would like to see Rotary support. A recommendation can be made to the Vision Committee for our consideration. So this year, and there are 22 members currently on the Vision Committee. The most significant project this year of the Vision Committee was the North Main Street sign project, which you have all heard about over the course of the year. And through fundraising efforts in 2019 and again this past year, the club was able to raise funds of nearly $63,000 from the membership, the community, and the foundations towards this project. And there have been in-kind contributions that we estimate will amount to $35,000 towards this project. So huge project. And Kevin Sixby, Mike Roberts, and John Healy championed this effort. Other significant projects were the total renovation of the healthcare dispensary, which provides polio and COVID vaccinations as well as healthcare. And we did this in partnership with the Sunset Millennium Club in Karachi, Pakistan. And this was championed by David and Marissa Troxel. The 12 earbud translation devices for Jamestown High School, which was requested by Tamu Reinhardt of Jamestown Public Schools, which was championed by Tori Eargang. And the planning for the Rotary Night at the ballpark, which was championed by Kevin Sixby. Other funds were given to the Jamestown High School a cappella choir, a scholarship for an opera student at Chautauqua Institution, and a match of the funds that individuals donated to the Rotary International Foundation for Ukraine, Pedal for Polio, and hands-on neighborhood cleanups. Thank you, Rotarians, for raising the funds to make these projects possible.
Thank you, Ruth, for your efforts on these two committees. Environmental Highway, Doug Conroe and Lee Magnuson continue to lead these. We had several cleanups in the fall and the spring, highway cleanups, neighborhood cleanups, and we'll continue that same pattern we've been doing for years, keeping the 86 pretty. Fundraiser, Kevin Sigsby stepped up to be the fundraiser committee this year. Thank you, past President Kevin, for leading these efforts at the fundraiser. We had a couple fundraisers last year in conjunction with social events, the Oktoberfest and the Farch. We also, of course, had the fundraiser. We arranged 5,000 plus for the sign project. Golf committee, Mike Bird continues to lead the golf committee. He's doing a great job there, and it's usually our largest fundraiser of the year. They brought in 6,700 something, almost $7,000 last year, and looking forward to again this year. Hopefully, we beat that number and bring in even more. And this year's golf committee will be played in honor of Paul Wallstrom, who's a longtime member who recently passed away, former owner of Alstrom Schaefer. Again, that's Monday, August 29th. Always looking for sponsors there. Literacy, I'll ask Diana Meckley to come forward and tell us about her committee and give us a few tips how she stays so engaged and active with her committee.
Okay, Literacy Committee. You know, it was a couple years ago, Joni, I think when Joni was going to be president, she came and asked if I would chair the committee. And you know, what's everybody's response when they're asked to do something that seems to be, you know, time consuming? Well, what I want to say to everyone, anyone that's been in the run up to be president of Rotary, anyone that's chaired a committee, you know, you're not in it alone. And I knew I wouldn't be in it alone. And so I said yes, because I've always had a heart for literacy. And I've been a member of that committee for a number of years. So I agreed to it. But I really want to give recognition. I don't want to get into the tips quite yet. I first want to give recognition to the members of the Literacy Committee. And let me tell you, you know, a lot of these people weren't members of Literacy when I first took the chair position. You know, I asked people that I thought had an interest or would be a good contributor in the area of literacy. So now our committee consists of Chris Anderson, Marion Beckerink, Sherry Krull, Sharon Hamilton, Deb Kathman, Paulette Klein, Sally Martinez, Deb Morlock, Melissa Myers, Steve Sandberg, Mary Schiller, and David Troxel. And every single member of this committee participates. There's nobody on the sidelines. They're all participating. So they're the ones that get applause for the things that we've accomplished. And in this past year, I'll just briefly go over those. We always start our Rotary year supporting the Summer Leap program, at least, you know, since I was chair. And how did we get involved in LEAP? Well, when I first became chair, I asked people I thought would know the needs in the community. So I talked to Amy, you know, in regards to the United Way, because people come to the United Way for funding. And I also went to Tori because people and the Community Foundation, both of those organizations make it their job to find out what are the needs in the community, what are the things that we should fund and support. So both of them said the Summer Leap program. So that's what we did. And this past year, we had 21 volunteers who contributed 27.5 hours to the Summer Leap program. This year, we'll also be participating, but we're scaling back to just 3 weeks. And you'll be getting a notice of that shortly. I don't want to take up the time today. Also, in September, we supported Rotary Literacy Month. Kevin came to me, I think it was mid-August, and said, "Hey, Diana, did you see that article in the Rotarian?" And I said, "Yeah, I did see that." He says, "Well, what do you think about doing something for that? Literacy Month is, you know, 2 weeks away, September." So once again, it was like, okay, sure. So Tori came to me and said, "Well, Diana, we can send a notice to all the libraries." And the Rotarian had a list of books, books, children's books that promoted Rotary values. So that's what we did. David Troxel made a poster and Tori sent out the little info sheet and list to all the libraries. We talked to some local libraries and bookstores. And so we had a great project just in a couple of weeks. We also had a member, Paulette Klein, who previously was involved with the Women's and Infant Children program in Ohio, I believe, and also does makeups in Florida, where she spends part of her year. And the Rotary Club there, and in her previous position, anyway, they worked with women and infants and children, and they were giving books and bibs to all newborns. So she was, you know, this kind of was a project that morphed. We started with WIC, had some communication issues, and then Marion Beckering said, "Well, Creche does stuff with newborns." And so now we've submitted to the Vision Committee, and we're in the coming year, we're going to be giving books that say read to me, or bibs that say read to me, and a book that is written in both Spanish and English to every newborn born at WCA, well, UPMC, Chautauqua. So we're going to start promoting literacy from the very beginning. Laundromat literacy. That wasn't my idea. Joni came to me. Russ Webb, who I don't know if Russ is still a member, he had a friend who owned laundromats and came to him and said, boy, you know, it sure would be nice if, you know, Rotary maybe put little lending libraries in some of my laundromats. Well, it didn't quite work out with that person, but it did work out with Robo. And so we added our third laundromat library this year, and over 700 books have been provided to the community through that project. And that's this year, just this year, 700 books. And we constantly get compliments when we're in there delivering books. And even at the ballpark, as Ruth mentioned last week, people say, thank you for providing these books. And thank you to all the members who provide books so we can continue to give books. Also, I want to recognize Sally Martinez. Sally has, you know, a special commitment to making sure there are books that have children of color, you know, so kids are reading and seeing people just like them. And so Sally, along with Carrie Wolfgang of Novel Destinations, they collect books, culturally sensitive books, if you want to call it that. And she's made donations to the library at Love School, and also will be providing a donation to the Community Learning Center. So we're really thrilled with that, appreciate that. And 2 years ago, sitting on the Vision Committee, Tori brought up a request to fund Battle of the Books, you know, which is a competitive program for middle school students. And so the literacy or the Vision Committee funded that, $1,500 for that. And with COVID, it's taken until this year. And so the Literacy Committee was there to cheer on the students. And that was a lot of fun. Ever since, as long as Chris Anderson has been involved on literacy, his wife Amy is an elementary school teacher. And through Chris, we learned about PARP at the Jamestown Public Schools. Every year, they do a Parents as Reading Partners program, and there are lots of kids whose parents aren't able to participate. So Chris had asked us, and many of you have volunteered during those PARP weeks. And this year it was the One District, One Read with the giving, what was the name of the book now? The Wish Tree, thank you. All right, so the Literacy Committee, and we had done this before with COVID, we recorded readings of the book. So that was available through Facebook for the students and their families. And in addition to that, Literacy, along with other members of the club, volunteered, let's see, 33 of us volunteered 30-minute classroom sessions reading to those students. And that was at Bush School. And then, because we were involved in that project, we found out they were looking for seedlings to go along with the reading of the book and activities. And Chris Horrigan was able to provide the name of someone at Soil and Conservation or Water and Soil or whatever thank you, Vince. And so I passed that on to the principal, and they got 150 seedlings donated to them. And they were so excited, you know, that they were able to do that as a project. And I think that pretty much covers it. You know, our big project this year will be that bib and book project along with Creche at UPMC Chautauqua. So, not counting our meetings or, planning sessions, we've been out there at least 105 hours in the community. And through the Vision Committee, we had that $1,500 donation for the Battle of the Books. So I've kind of been giving you tips along the way in terms of engagement and participation. It's, first of all, understand you're not alone. Go out there. If there are members you would like on your committee, ask them. And more likely than not, they're gonna, share your interest. Talk to people who have maybe, their ear to the ground on things that your committee could get involved in. And really just, if somebody brings up an idea, think about it. Well, how could we do that? And generally your committee is going to help you figure it out along with other club members. We also stay connected. We do a Zoom meeting because that's most convenient for everyone once a month. Okay, so we stay connected. Not everybody attends every month, but as the chair, I do send out an agenda and I do send out notes. I don't call the minutes. I don't put attendance on there. They're just mostly my notes as chair so that I can keep track of things and let committee members know, remind them what they agreed to do. And, welcome people, recognize people, all the stuff that you know how to do. And just remember, if you're asked to serve as a chair of a committee, say yes, you're not in it alone.
Thank you, Diana, and the Literacy Committee for all you do in the community. Membership. Many thanks to Tori Ergang, who's outgoing chair of the committee, and we welcome Irene, who's stepping in to be the new chair. This past year, we added 6 new members: Lori Brocklebank, Max Eimiller, Dan Heizenreiter, Julie Jones, Kristen Melville, and Stacy Rasmussen. And those guys, all of them are out already participating and engaged. Most of them are out helping out with the tarp skunk. So that's great. Thank you. We added Rudy last week, so we're off to a good start for this year. And John Felton is going to be inducted soon as well. So the membership committee past year has been reviewing the process and applications for new members. So that's going to be ongoing into the coming year. Program, Kirk Young continues to lead the efforts there as chair of that committee. He has somebody different each month helping out with speakers. They do a great job getting us topics and speakers. And I know Dan is helping out now with program, trying to get speakers as well. So that'll be nice. RCJCSF, we pretty much support everything Vision comes through. So I'm not going to rehash all those, but Ruth is stepping in as the new chair there. Red Kettle, Joanne Dahlbeck. We had 17 members last year volunteer to ring the bells for the Salvation Army, and she's agreed to stay on and run Red Kettle again. Social, Michelle Jones did a great job last year planning our social events, a lot of get-togethers in place of some meetings, and just a great job planning and hosting our Christmas party, President's Dinner, Farch, and she's going to stay on and keep running that committee as well. So many thanks to Michelle. Vocational, Max Eimiller is going to be the new chair there. Looking forward to getting back into mock interviews. So thank you, Max. Haven't had those in a couple years due to everything, so it'll be good to get back out there and participate in that. And then youth services, we have 2 outbounds this year. Josie Mason is heading to Spain and Soren Kaiser is going to France. So looking forward to get that going again. Sherry, do you have anything to add?
I do. Yoa, I can't say his whole name, is going to be here from Denmark, I believe on August 11th. He is going to be staying with them. I can't remember their last name. Anyways, we're going to introduce him once he gets there. We'll have a get together. And we did get a thank you note from Soren. Soren is actually not ours. He's going out with the Sunrise Club because we didn't have enough host families. But he sent a nice thank you note thanking us for his $750 scholarship. We also gave a scholarship to Josie as well. So hopefully you'll hear a lot more about Youth Exchange coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. It took a little time, but I think it's important to review our committees, what they do, and our chairs and our efforts. It's important for the new members and all of us to be reminded how much we participate out in the community. So now I'm going to move into goals for 2022, 2023. I'll go through them pretty quick. You know, they're pretty self-explanatory. Fundraising, club engagement, participation, membership growth, retention, and outreach. So fundraising, we've done a lot of big projects over the course of last year. The sign project being the big one, 25,000. COVID relief a couple of years ago, we donated 10,000 to local charities, and then the Karachi Clinic, plus everything else we do day to day. So we have we're still in good shape with our CJCSF. We're about 46,000 total in the general fund balance there. And we have revenue that usually comes in from the golf outing and then the Johnson Fund. But over the course of the past 3-4 years, we've spent 15 more than we brought in. So I would like to flip that and bring in, you know, I know 15-20 years ago, we used to have fundraisers where we bring in 20,000-30,000. So I'd like to flip that number and get us cut back up to where we were a couple of years ago, and maybe even bring in a little bit more. So that's going to be something we're working on, fundraising. The second is club engagement and participation. Last year was our transition back from online COVID back into meeting in person and service clubs. So it's not surprisingly, our participation number was down from where we were in previous years. And that's not a surprise, but I'd really like if we could get back to where we were at previous levels in participating, engagement, and being that part of the community. We did a great job, but want to continue to build on that. It's a difficult conversation to have, but you know, if you're healthy or capable, please, you know, sign up to engage. Our numbers were across the board: Red Kettle, highway cleanup, hands-on neighborhood, you know, communication. They were all down from where we were. So I'd really like if we can get back into where we were at previous levels. So we're going to keep working on that this year, hopefully. So my third goal is membership growth and retention. Over the past 3-4 years, our numbers have been declining. We were, when I first joined, we're up over 100, and now we're probably about 88, 90, somewhere in that range, give or take. So we add some members, we lose some members, but overall we've been declining. So if we could again flip that and maybe bring in 8 to 10 members to get us back up closer to 100, and members that want to be a part of it, engaged, participating. So that goal is achievable, I believe, especially people looking to come out and be a part of the Rotary. We do a lot. Then outreach. Finished the Jamestown sign project. We've been working on that 20 years, 25 years, and we're close now with getting close with construction. So finish that, and then just any new projects or ways we can engage with the community, or if anybody knows who needs help in the community or what we can do. So just continue working on outreach. And those are my goals. Any questions as far as goals for the coming year? We have, it's cuts both ways, because a lot of people, they go down to Florida or they're traveling, or, you know, just get real busy and work and they can't connect. So we've talked about, but we'll probably keep it going at least for the next year, just so so we can have the hybrid continue on. But we do ask, please, you know, if you can come to the meetings, it's always better to interact face to face, be here. That's what Rotary is all about, is meeting in person, talking and connecting that way. But we're going to keep the hybrid format going as long as I can get the technology up and running every week. Yes, Kathy. And the board has also talked about, and maybe donating $5 if you can't come to the meeting, and just having a $5 if you log on to Zoom. So that way you're continuing to help support Rotary Club and our initiatives that through a $5 donation. And it'll play for the Zoom. I think the Zoom's 100 something, 140, 150 a year. So that's something else we've talked about coming up. Any other questions before I bring Kevin up here to go over club governance and documents? Kevin, come on up.
So we saved the most exciting stuff for the end. I know we are over time or almost over time now, so I'm going to try and fly through this. You received copies of the Constitution, the club bylaws, and RCJCSF by email. The club constitution is something that's spelled out by Rotary International. So that's a cut and paste. We just made it look consistent with the other documents we're going to be using. The Constitution and bylaws for the club and RCJCSF have been revised with consistent formatting and provided indexes so that if you do ever want to read them, it's easier to find what you're looking for. The club bylaws, we've left the election of directors in its complicated form, but there has been discussion about reducing the complexity there. As of right now, it's very prescriptive as to who John is going to have to find this fall to sit on that committee. Our committee decided that was something to leave for now. Some of the other changes really are reflections of changes in our general processes. So where right now, the last couple of years, the president-elect has been sitting as chair or president of the Rotary Club at Jamestown Community Service Fund. That's not how it was actually written in the bylaws. So we've made a prescription so that, or a change so that the president-elect and the president of the Rotary Club at Jamestown are ex officio members of RCJCSF. And then the election of a president is done by RCJCSF every year, and that can be somebody chosen, any active member of the Rotary Club of Jamestown. So that allows for them to continue that practice of the president-elect serving there. And then conversely, in the bylaws for the club, it had stated that the president-elect was the chair of Vision Committee. We moved that to be the vice president. And the theory there is that as you're elected vice president of the club and you're transitioning up to president, you get to serve a year on the Vision Committee, looking long range and making determinations as to maybe what you want to see our funding or our club programming doing. Then the next year you sit on RCJCSF, so that by the time you're president, you also understand how that funding is all distributed. And it makes for a nicer flow. Obviously, there were some typo corrections. There were we eliminated some dates. There were some references to policies adopted by Rotary International and specified 2013. And I can tell you those have changed, and we never updated the bylaws. So we just removed those pieces so that it's more of a living document without having to make regular amendments. We also added under honorary members, there was no stated maximum number of honorary members. However, the club practice has been a maximum of 3. We just put that into writing. Those are the major highlights. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to run through the rest of it. Are there questions from anybody about any of the changes that we have proposed? All right. All right. All in favor? Any opposition?
All right, thank you, everybody. I know it was a long meeting. We covered a lot, so thank you, everybody, for sitting through it, for approving it. And remember this year's theme, Imagine Rotary, and we are adjourned.